now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
From the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C. Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening or watching. Special shout out to all of our new viewers on Holyfield TV. We're glad to be part of Holyfield TV's sports programming. And like we've been saying, if you're watching us on Holyfield TV, drop us a line, man. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know how we're doing. Our email address is billy@talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING. And don't forget about downloading our app. You can get it right now. Watch the show on your phone or your handheld or whatever. Just go to Fight. That's FITE. Fight.tv/Billy C. That's Fight.tv/Billy C. And don't forget, you can get all the pay-per-views that you may not be able to see from the other side of the pond, and watch them right on the front page of our website. Just go to the pay-per-view section, and you'll see it. It's right there on the front. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located in beautiful St. Simon's Island, or I should say on St. Simon's Island. Check out his website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. And don't forget, if you're in the WGIG listener area in Brunswick, Georgia, stop by. He's right on Frederica over there on St. Simon's Island. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's to get a decent Italian meal. And I'll tell you the truth, I'll be there coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you got nothing to do, come on by and have some dinner with me at Sal's. I'll be there during the week of June 12th. Yeah, June 12th, I'll be there. So make sure you check that out. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Gawkbox. What is it? Well, it's a great tool. It helps you save money, and it helps us. And it gets you some stuff. What's better than that? Two-way street. Check it out. Visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the Gawkbox banner and create an account today. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Fanfire, or FireFan. Why do I always do that? I guess I'm becoming dyslexic. Yeah. Fanfire. Yeah. FireFan. Yeah. It's you know what? Just visit our website, billycboxing.com, and click on it. You'll see it. It's got the flames around the fan, you know. And it's sports fantasy games like you've never played before. And if you go on through our website, you get to sign up for free and win money. What's better than that? Win real money. You know, what's better than cash? Cash money. Yeah, it's like a whatever. And today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. Get yourself a copy by visiting barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. You want to get a signed copy? Don't worry about it. Just visit the website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the book. You can't miss it. Today's show, we got some stuff coming up. You know, we've been talking a lot about the fight this weekend. I mean, there's a couple of them, and we said yesterday we were looking forward to checking out Terrence Crawford. I always love watching Terrence Crawford fight, and he's in maybe a tougher opponent than we think. We'll get to that a little later. But today's focal point is on Gervonta Davis and his fight against Leon Walsh. Now, Gervonta Davis just picked up a title, and in his last fight, and he's taking on Leon Walsh. And not only is he taking on a quality fighter in Walsh, but he's taking on Walsh at Walsh's home court over in England. Gervonta Davis is a young fighter. He's only 22 years old. And he basically, he's not shy. Let's just say that. He's not shy. And he's been saying some crazy stuff. He's being labeled as the next Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather himself has taken him under his wing, has been advising him to a point. Gervonta Davis has been saying some crazy stuff. like he's going to only listen to Floyd and not his corner. And Floyd's not officially training him. I know he's worked out with him a couple of times. And I'm just wondering if, Gervonta Davis is making a mistake. Is he letting, like the old saying from Mark Twain, too bad youth is wasted on the young. Is he letting his youth interfere with logical thinking? Is he believing his press clippings? He's going to be tested in more ways than one this weekend against Leon Walsh, and it's going to be interesting to see. Joining me right now to get his thoughts on this situation is my man. He's a New Jersey boxing Hall of Famer. He's a Guinness Book of World Record holder. He can make some great Italian cuisine. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, childrens of all ages, please welcome the man, the myth, the legend himself in his own mind, my buddy, Sal Rocky Senecola. Good morning, Sal.
You said the key term, in his own mind. How are you, Bill? Good morning.
Not too bad, my man. Not too bad. It's going to reach yesterday. It was supposed to reach in the high 80s. It tipped the thermometers. Yeah. 93 up here.
Holy smoke.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already in the 90s here, but that's almost expected.
You're in the 90s there, like right now as we speak?
I don't know. I haven't been outside yet.
It's probably a nice, balmy, maybe 65 where you are right now? What do you set your temperature at,
My temperature in my house. No, I like anywhere between 68 degrees and 72.
There you go. But anyway, hey, Sal, I wanted to ask you about Gervonta Davis. Now he's a talented young fighter, and we were touching on it yesterday. And the thing is that like I said, we touched on it yesterday. He's been saying stuff like he's only going to listen to Floyd Mayweather. He's not going to so much listen to his corner. He's going to. Basically, some of the rumors we heard is Floyd's been kind of telling him not to, for him to focus on hitting and not getting hit. And the one thing I like about Davis is that he engages and, he's exciting. I think he had the potential of being better than Floyd Mayweather. But I think that, he's got to stay grounded. He can't, think he's all that already. I mean, when I look at his resume, yes, he's undefeated, 17-0, and 16 of those wins have come by knockout. His last fight was against Jose Pedraza when he won the world super featherweight title, or junior lightweight, however you want to look at it, in a dominating fashion. He stopped Pedraza, who was much taller. But of those 17 fights, the only other name on his resume that I really give him credit for, and by the time he fought him was a shell of himself, was Cristobal Cruz. Now, he's going in the backyard of Leon Walsh, who's, been around. I don't know. Is he taking this guy too lightly? What do you think?
Tell you what, Bill, you said with my gracious introduction, or generous introduction, you said the term in his own mind. That's key, because let me tell you something. A fighter has to be solid in his mind. And whether it's true or not, if he believes in his own mind that he could do all these things, it's going to be up to an opponent to humble him and make him see differently. But the bottom line is, I don't doubt him. I don't damn him for, in his own mind, feeling and doing the things he's doing at this point of his career. Same thing with having Mayweather in his corner. I'll tell you, you look at a lot of fighters, and I was classic for this. It's like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. No, we're not. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But when you have a corner that you have faith in, or people around you that you have confidence in that are truly there, and you feel, hey, that's my team, that's what I'm going into the ring of battle with. Let me tell you something. It feels good, and it gives you a lot of horsepower, and gives you a little bit of the confidence that you're going to be able to take care of cuts. You're going to be able to take care of these guys are going to be able to spot things. So, you know what? I see nothing wrong with it. I see nothing saying he's taking it too lightly. And like I said, it's going to be up to an opponent to humble him and wake him up and tell him elsewhere. Bottom line is, all my hats off to him. Let him take Mayweather. Let him go. I think that's really says a lot about his confidence level going in somebody's backyard. I love that when I was an underdog or so, going in somebody else's backyard. And because that's like, hey, I'm gonna steal your heart away, like, or I'm gonna crush and squelch the crowd. I don't care what I'm going up against. That says a lot. That says a lot about his confidence. So Gervonta Davis, I think, is right on track, and I think he's gonna have a stellar victory. And he's not taking Walsh too lightly, and we're gonna see a good fight. That's my opinion. Thank you very much.
Well, I hope we see. I think we're going to see a good fight. I'm concerned because I think that Davis is a quality fighter, and I mean he's got everything in front of him. Here's the thing, and I'm gonna, we're gonna take a break here in a couple minutes, and I'll.
I just got on.
I know. It was all those. It was all the introductions. And it takes almost.
Hey,
But my point, and I'm gonna give some facts about Leon Walsh, and some of the reasons why I would be cautious if I'm Team Davis. But the one thing, and I know I get criticized for being negative about Floyd, and I'm probably going to get criticized again because I got some negative feelings coming out. Just getting ready. So if you don't want to hear it, leave. But the truth of the matter is Floyd is Floyd. There's one Floyd. And,
That's
it's hard to even say, well, somebody's going to, he's the next Floyd, or something like that. Well, Gervonta Davis isn't, or at least wasn't. He was a guy that displays, and I'm talking to him like he's not fighting anymore. He's a guy who displays a lot of talent. He's got hand speed. He's got some pop. I mean, 94% knockout ratio for Gervonta Davis. Only one fighter has gone the distance with him. So he's exciting. He's engaging. Something that Floyd Mayweather was never. He was never exciting, and he doesn't engage. And to hear that Floyd is trying to tell Davis to be safe, safety first, that may get Davis some wins. It may make him successful, but it certainly might not make him the superstar that we need in the sport today. A guy that is excited. Excitement is synonymous to superstardom. Floyd was an exception to that. And that's something I want people to understand. You can't just copy. We're a bunch of copycats, humans. They like to, somebody sees success with someone else and they immediately want to copy it and they wonder why it doesn't work. Well, maybe something wasn't exactly the same. But my main point here, Sal, before I take a break, is Floyd, one of the negatives about Floyd, aside from his lack of excitement and challenging himself and all those things, is he's got a humongous ego. And I don't think Floyd would ever want someone to get more attention than he gets. Some of this discussion with the Conor McGregor fight and everything, that's keeping Floyd in the mainstream discussion of boxing, even though he's so-called retired. And it's almost like he's trying to, direct Davis away from possibly catapulting himself. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that, Sal, but hold that thought. Hold your tongue. And we are going to take a short break. And when we get back, you can comment on that. And I'm also going to talk a little about Leon Walsh and his credentials. All of that is coming up in about 2 minutes.
Billy C will be right back.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Hey, don't forget, coming up in a little bit, we got the author of a new book called Max Baer and Barney Ross, Jewish Heroes of Boxing, written by Jeffrey Susman. And he's going to be with us in about 40 minutes or so. But right now, we got Sal Rocky Sanicola with us. And Sal, here's an interesting fact about the Gervonta Davis and Leon Walsh fight coming up on this weekend. Both are southpaws. What's that going to be like? Is it going to be, a lot of times fighters, orthodox fighter fighting a southpaw is a problem. And most southpaws get used to fighting orthodox fighters. Do they have the same kind of issues when they have to go against another southpaw?
Well, I'll tell you what, that's funny. And for you, with your dyslexia, it should appear to be an orthodox fight.
Right. Both of them are going to be orthodox.
No, I'm sorry. I think that, for the majority of fighters, being orthodox, meaning that they do jab with their left hand and they do have their right, as their power punch coming across. I think these gentlemen have been used to sparring with more orthodox. However, I'm sure they've come across southpaws in the past, and it's a natural level that they should be proficient in. But I don't know. Let's see how much they do want to mirror up with each other, and it's going to be a little bit different to see. And I'm glad you brought that up, because two southpaws fighting. The secret of fighting is southpaw, and it's not a secret. You try and stay outside of that right foot and away from the power punch of the left with feinting and slipping and blocking and getting inside. And, so now these guys are going to be fighting, and for themselves it's going to be a little bit different. So we'll see, but that's a good point to bring up. I'm anxious to see this now. See, he's kind of excited about it.
Well, I
don't think it'll pose trouble, though. I don't think it'll pose trouble.
I'm a big fan of Gervonta Davis. I mean, I'm a big fan of his talent. I'm not a big fan of his ego because when I look at him, I do believe that he has fought 2 of his 17 fights against above average competition in his last fight, Jose Pedraza, and back in 2015 against Cristobal Cruz. Now, when you take a look at Leon Walsh, he's 9 years older than Davis, Sal. He's 31 years old. As far as being ranked by the computer, he's ranked number 18 in the world at super featherweight or junior lightweight, however you want to look at it, compared to Gervonta Davis being ranked at number 10. Now, Davis's ranking, his jump in the rankings has a lot to do with his win over Pedraza in his last fight. As far as height and reach, they're close. I mean, Leon Walsh has a 1.5-inch height advantage. I don't think that's going to really come into play that much. But the thing is when I look at Leon Walsh, And I see the level of opposition he's fought. Now, I will say this. I don't think that he's fought anyone at the level of Jose Pedraza, like Gervonta Davis has fought and beat and stopped. But when you look at Leon Walsh's resume, he's fought some tough guys on the way up, like Paul Appleby and Scott Harrison and Gary Skykes. He fought Joe Murray twice. And in his last two fights, Troy James, and in his very last fight in October of last year, Andrei Kilimov. These are all good opponents, not above average opponents, but good opponents that I think helps a fighter develop. He's, in my opinion, I think Leon Walsh has seen more diversity with his opponents than Gervonta Davis has. Now, Gervonta Davis has certainly seen two quality opponents, one at the very, very end of his career, Cristobal Cruz, but in his last fight, he proved a lot against Jose Pedraza. Now, you can make the argument that Pedraza didn't fight the fight that he should have, but that's neither here nor there. At the end result, Gervonta Davis won the fight, and he stopped him, so he won the fight convincingly. Do you think that a fighter, Sal, like Leon Walsh, who's had the right, basically, like I'm always saying, you got to increase your opponent's level of opposition and get better and better. Do you think Leon Walsh has been prepared for a fight against a quality fighter like Gervonta Davis better than Gervonta Davis has been prepared to fight a quality fighter like Leon Walsh?
Good question. And I'll tell you what, at Leon Walsh's age, you said he's what, 31?
Leon Walsh is 31 and Davis is 22.
Well, what happens at the age of 31, and you've been in a game.
Your hair starts falling out, right? Your hair starts falling. At 31, your hair starts falling out, right?
Well, it does that, in some fighters, but what happens though? You do have a maturity level. You have. I don't know if you could really say you come into your own, but you've been there, done that a little bit more. You know what you're doing in your career at that time. You should know what you're doing in your career at the time, what the goals are, how you're evolving, and you also do not have that much more time to spend. And you're either going to do it now or never. And with that, you also have the maturity level, and you have the maturity level also physically as well as emotionally. So I think that is going to be something that he's going to carry into the ring, and especially in his backyard. This guy's going to feel pretty confident that, guess what? I'm going to shock the world tonight, and I'm going to show everybody what I really can do. I'm prepared. I have nothing to lose because I'm supposed to lose. I mean, I'm not saying he's saying that, but I have nothing to lose. So I'm going to go out in front of my fans, and I'm going to be dominant, and I'm going to beat this guy. And so he's got to feel confident. He's got to have the stars aligning in his head that this is what's going to happen. And in Gervonta Davis' case, he's just a young, brash, confident talent, and he's thinking the same. Hey, I'm coming in this guy's backyard. I'm going to show him who's boss. I'm going to do this. So that's what I'm saying. The only thing that's going to humble Davis is an opponent. But meanwhile, if he wants to carry that brash style into the ring, I can name a bunch of fighters that did that, including my buddy Vinny Pazienza. He was a young fighter. Nothing was going to stop this guy. He didn't care. And that's a young anticipation and the excitement. And this guy feels, hey, nothing's going to stop me. And, like I said, life will humble him over the years. But right now, as a 21, 22-year-old, let him carry himself in the ring with that. And all the power to him. I hope he can sustain that level of excitement and feeling. And I think it's going to be a great contest. And I think that the age and the emotional maturity level with Smith, might have something to do with the results of this fight. So I'm really going to look forward to this fight.
I both fighters want this fight a lot. I give Davis a lot of credit for going into Walsh's backyard. I think it shows a lot. Or it's showing us one of two things. Either it's showing us Davis has got a lot of confidence, or it's showing us that, to get these big fights, now there's been a shift. A lot of fighters are going over to the UK and to other parts of Europe to fight these fights. The way it used to be is they would come here to the States, and obviously there's bigger draws over there. I just don't like. As far as Gervonta Davis, he's become very cocky, especially after the last win. And I believe that he deserves to display a certain level of cockiness, but not as much as he has. And I would be totally okay with it until I read and saw that he's really following this Floyd Mayweather thing, and to hear that Floyd is giving him pointers, and when he said he was going to listen to Floyd more than his corner or above what his corner says. Immediately that creates some problems, not only for him, but how about your corner? How does your corner feel when they hear a guy going to the media in public saying, well, I'm going to listen to what Floyd says? Now, listen, this could all be BS, Sal. It could all be BS.
It could be showcasing his own little corner. I'll tell you, that's more likely what's going to happen.
Right. It could be just, him playing with, guys like us. And But if you got a guy like Floyd who's front row and he's yelling instructions to Davis, and Davis is focusing his hearing on what Floyd is saying and not what his corner is saying, I would be nervous. Because especially if the going gets tough, isn't that harder for the fighter to focus on who he should be listening to?
It's so funny because I've been in positions where I've had two people that I've trusted, and whether it's Richie Giacchetti that was in my corner and maybe my old trainer, and I just had an emotional recall, just as you were saying, could it be hard? And then I had one time, like I said, Richie Giacchetti was in my corner, another trainer was in my corner, and Johnny Torres, who was a great, confident guy. I had him in my corner, and then Don Turner in my corner. And Don, I loved working with. Don knew me inside and out, and so did Johnny Torres. So when I hear two different voices coming in my ears, guess what? I'm focused on my opponent, the fighter in front of me, and I see, and I can decipher, and I can take what I want from both advice, both of people giving me advice, and it's not so confusing because I know what I got to do. A fighter knows what he's got to do. And you're gonna hear one or two things, and you're gonna take that and apply that in the next round, and you're gonna come back and get critiqued or getting suggestions on the other one. I think it's great that Gervonta Davis is doing this, and you mentioned something about his cockiness and his attitude. Hey, maybe it's going to be a pathway for his superstardom, and I'll tell you why. There were cocky people in my generation. One was Hector Camacho, and one was Vinny Pazienza. And guess what? These guys propelled themselves to superstardom because they believed themselves and they weren't afraid to shout it out, and they faced anybody and anywhere. And you know what? They had the skill level to prove it. And so maybe Gervonta Davis is going to follow that game book as well. So I don't see anything wrong with where he is and what's going to happen. The only thing that's going to humble this guy is life itself. So we'll see. And that's a maturity level that we all go through.
I wouldn't be comparing him with Hector Camacho yet.
No, I'm not. But I'm saying that was a young because these guys were superstars. That's what I'm saying. Maybe he's taking the playbook and his way onto superstardom. I don't know. We're going to see that over the next couple of years, next couple of fights. But what I'm saying is, when Camacho and Pazienza were young like that too, they were not afraid to boast of how their skill level set is and where they were going. So I'm not comparing them. But I'm telling them telling you and everybody that was the brash kind of idea. You either loved these guys or you didn't like them because of their brash cockiness. So the same thing with Gervonta Davis. He's going to create that a little bit, and he's going to have his fans. And he's going to have people that hope he gets humbled fast. But the bottom line is, if he has the talent to develop and to back up his words, then you know what, he can evolve into a superstar one day. So we'll see what happens.
No doubt, and I'm pulling for him. I want him to keep doing what he did to get to. Listen, I was impressed big time against in his fight with Pedraza. Anyway, hey, listen, we got to take a short break. It's that time again. We got to take a short break. When we come back, we got some more stuff to talk about. I got a bunch of emails to read, all that stuff. So we'll be back in about 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Tell me, Kenny, how is it you rub my belly so fine with that secret rub of yours? And don't even tell me what you're gonna do next. I love you, Kenny Bear. Tell me, Kenny baby, what you gonna do next?
Kenny Bear's Old Florida Barbecue Rub and Seasoning. Grab a bottle today.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Tell me, Kenny, how is it you rub my belly so fine with that secret rub of yours? And don't even tell me what you're gonna do next. I love you, Kenny Bear. Tell me, Kenny baby, what you gonna do next?
Kenny Bear's Old Florida Barbecue Rub and Seasoning. Grab a bottle today.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And, we're back. You're watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget, in a few minutes, in about a half hour, we got Jeffrey Susman scheduled to join us. He's the author of a new book, Max Baer and Barney Ross, Jewish Heroes in Boxing. So we'll be chatting with him. But right now, we're here with my man Sal Rocky Santacola. And Sal, we got a couple of emails to read. So
Okay.
let's get going with that. First and foremost, this one's from my man Jesse. And Jesse says, hey, Billy C. and Sal, I believe the Gary versus Escandon and Felix versus Crawford fights will be somewhat competitive, but they have nothing to lose. Both contending fighters should put pressure and use movement and keep their hands up. I think this week is packed with some pretty good bouts. That's contradicting to what we were talking about yesterday, Sal. We were talking about the odds on these fights and the fact that, they look like they're all one-sided showcase fights. Gary Russell Jr. against Escandon, I'm not so sure. And Felix versus Crawford, I'm not so sure they're going to be entertaining fights either. What do you think?
No, I think they should be. We'll see what happens. I think I'm looking forward to this weekend. I really am. In fact, we should probably divvy up and see what fights we each want to watch. If we can't find it, we'll watch them all at one time.
I watch them all, Sal, just because you don't, come on. Come on.
I'm going to, but it's not going to be simultaneously.
Jesse says, I read that Corrales will face Robinson Castellanos. It should be a good fight because Castellanos always brings it. Do you see Robinson earning this bout? I do. I think in his last fight, I mean, he beat one of my favorite guys, or at least he was. So, yes, I do believe Castellanos earned that fight. He says, I wouldn't be totally surprised if Walsh wins since Davis's ego has gone off the charts. He must stay mentally ready and concentrate and not let the attention get to him. It's kind of what we've been saying, you know. I mean, I agree with that, Sal. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's why I'm looking forward to this fight because you have, like I said, you have a fighter at 31 years of age that kind of knows that this is a make or break, do or die situation at this stage of his career. He's got the maturity level. He knows how to handle his emotions. He knows how to focus. He's been there, done that. He's got some experience underneath his belt and the maturity level. I mean, physically you're a little stronger at that age too. I mean, you're a young buck. You're strong. You're developing, but your muscle and your musculoskeletal system seems to come together at age 28 or so. You're more like a man skill power set than a young man skill power set. That's and like I said, Gervonta Davis, the only thing that's going to humble him is life and an opponent. So let him carry himself the way he is, and this may be a weekend that he's going to finally be upset, and we don't know. But that's why it's going to be a good fight. I like the matchup. I like what I can expect to see, and we're going to see who the better man is on Saturday night.
We got another email. This one's from my man Johnston. You could check Johnston. He's got a column, actually, up on BillyCBoxing.com, so check it out. Johnston says, good morning, guys. He says, as the big fight in the welterweight division heats up, here's some quotes from both of the fighters, and he's referring to Kell Brook and Errol Spence. Now, Amir Khan apparently has given his camp that he works out to Errol Spence to work out in as he continues preparation for his fight against Kell Brook. So when Kell Brook was asked about about the Amir Khan giving Errol Spence's camp, Kell said this. These are some quotes from Kell Brook. He said, "That's Amir Khan through and through. He would love to see me lose this fight so he doesn't have to fight me, but that's not going to happen. He can lend Errol his gym, but he can't save him on May 27th. The only thing on my mind is the fight. The fans know what I'm about. I've gone from moving up to middleweight to fight Triple G to coming back down to face one of the most dangerous welterweights out there. All I want to do is give the fans what they want. That's what they deserve." I love Kell Brook, and I think he's right. I mean, you can't argue with that. When asked about Brook being able to make the weight, which is actually a great segue from the comment that Kell Brook made about the fact that he moved up 2 divisions to go from welter to middleweight to fight Triple G, the best middleweight out there. He said, it's been very, very tough because I moved up to middleweight, then I had time off, so my weight went even higher. It's been gradual, but we got here. Every day is tough, and we take it one day at a time. But I'm sitting here now, and I'm on target. I'm hitting my target, so I'm happy. You think that sounds like he's spent a lot of this training camp making weight, Sal?
No, I don't. You're a professional. You know what you got to do, and I think that some fighters that could be careless. They hastily do it later because they know they can. They've been there. For Kell Brook, I think he's more methodical, and I think he is well grounded with his thoughts, and he has a purpose. He knows what he's doing. So, I think he probably, like I said, you really know the only facts that are real are what comes from that fighter's mouth. What I mean they're real is that's what you are going by. He could be doing that for a smokescreen for his opponent to make it sound like it, whatever it is. Now, I think he's been taking it off slowly. I think, like he said, he's right on target. And is it easy? No, but it's discipline. And that's what these guys at that level understand. That's what they take on. So I think he's going to be fine.
Now, Johnson gave us some quotes from the camp of Errol Spence. Errol Spence says, this is a defining fight for me. Most guys with my pedigree get the title handed to them in a certain type of way. They don't go across the seas to the hometown guy and a real fighter like Kell Brook. That's really unheard of. I definitely think I get a lot of credit going and fighting Kell Brook in his backyard. I know it's not going to be an easy fight for me. It's going to be a real test going to his hometown and take his title from him. But it's something that I'm willing to do. It's something that real fighters do, going to other people's towns and fighting champions. That's what he did. He came to America, and that's what I'm going to do. I've come to the UK. I'm going to his hometown to take his title. I know it won't be easy, but I'm 100% ready for this fight. It almost sounds like that's a subliminal slap in the face to Floyd Mayweather, something Floyd Mayweather's never done. Floyd Mayweather has never fought overseas for a title. He's never fought outside of his comfort zone. As a matter of fact, he's never fought anything where he didn't call all the shots. So that's kind of a little slap in his face, but I do agree with that statement, Sal, 100%. Errol Spence is doing all the things that great fighters do. Your thoughts?
100%. See, that's the confidence level. That's the arrival of your emotions, everything else. I used to love it when someone said we're going to fight, we're going to go over here, we're going to fight in this guy in his backyard. I was packing my bags. I was like, I want to go there. I want to eat it up. I want to chew it up, and I want to spit it out. You don't forget. You feel when you're a fighter and you're in shape, you're physically, mentally sharp and ready. There's nothing that's going to stop you, and you want to take on a challenge, and that's what we were always eager to do. And taking on, you want to make it. You want to make that hill incline higher. I don't care. We're going to climb it up. We're going to climb up and show you what we could do. That was the mindset. That's the mentality. So, yes, I love that from what I hear, and I think that's great. Says it all right now, and I'm going to look forward to that fight, too.
When he was asked if Brook fought Khan, if Brook had chosen to fight Amir Khan instead of him, he said he, meaning Brook, would have been ducking me if he had come down and fought Amir Khan and not defend his title. So I thought he would come down. I wanted him to come down because I wanted to take the belt from the champion. He's referring going back to the welterweight class. Amir Khan's last fight was actually in a weight class above when he fought Canelo. He says, I didn't want to fight the next available guy. I wanted to fight the champion, the guy who has the belt. I kind of thought he would. I've been waiting for a long time now, something I knew it was going to happen, but I had to wait. The fight's finally here, and I'm going to finally get my opportunity to prove myself and prove that I'm the best welterweight in the division by fighting Kell Brook. I'm expecting the environment to be lively. These are hardcore boxing fans in the UK. They really come out to support. I expect them to have a lot of support. I expect me to have a lot of boos, but I welcome that. It's a lot of pressure on him to perform in front of his fans and his friends, and I'm not worried about the crowds. It's going to be me and him in the ring. You can't. What I love about Errol Spence is everything. It's really hard to find something negative to say. He's saying all the right stuff, and I'll tell you the truth, Sal. What's coming out of his mouth, if he actually follows through with everything that he's saying, above and beyond this fight, regardless of the outcome, kudos to him, because this is what we need in the sport of boxing. We need guys that are willing to walk the walk, not find a way around it. And again, Floyd is Floyd, but Floyd perfected the way of finding detours. And, he got a lot of accolades for doing the complete opposite of what Errol Spence is doing. Floyd has never, at least for the last decade, has never challenged himself, has never seeked out the absolute best. He seeked out names, washed up names, old names, deteriorated names, always had to call all the shots, always was in his backyard, all those things. And here's something, Kell Brook, a young fighter, getting his first world title shot, and he's willing to take on the best of the best of the best. I applaud that. What do you think?
No, 100%. I mean, that's what we love to hear, love to see. This is what it's all about. You don't hide behind podiums and this and that, and avoid questions, avoid this and that. You come out and you say, "Hey, this is what I'm built for. This is what I'm meant for, and this is what I'm going to do." And then you just let your fists and your intellect and your passion and your heart and skills come out and back your words up, and that's phenomenal. That's what I love to hear. That's what we love to hear. The fighters that want to challenge themselves, the fighters that want to rise to the next level or for the occasion. And I have all the applause right out to those guys. I'm it's welcoming to hear.
Next email's from my man Joel. He says,
Joel.
hey guys, I was wondering if you guys heard about the new weight cut regulations that the California State Athletic Commission introduced this week for MMA. He says, one thing I really like is for high-profile title fights, they recommend a 30 and a 10-day weight check, much like the WBC does. I think this is good, ensuring that those big title fights will go on as scheduled. If an MMA fighter is forced to weigh a certain amount 30 and 10 days out before a fight, what do you guys think about these rules? And can all states adopt them, which would benefit all combat athletes and avoid drastic weight cutting situations? This whole weight cutting and weigh and stuff, it's so, I look at it this way, Sal. If we could remedy all of these these are all precautions and shortcuts taken to still allow a fighter to finagle. Now, if you have a weigh-in that you have to weigh a certain amount of pounds 30 days out, why wouldn't a fighter do the same exact thing he's going to do when he weighs in the day before? If he's got to weigh 150 pounds at 30 days out, and he's weighing in at 165, to me they would dry out the day before and do all the same things they do before fight night. They get on the scale, they weigh 150, they have a couple of Gatorades, eat a sandwich, and they're back to 165. So I just think I think it's all BS. I think if we went back to the same day weigh-ins, and we would force fighters to be fighting at their natural weights, or at least, plus or minus 6 pounds or something. I think we would have legitimate weight classes. I think we would have legitimate fighters, and we would certainly be enforcing safety. What do you think?
Billy, I'm passionate about that. And I again, here's the feel-good police and always lowering the benchmark. You don't need, these guys, these are mature adults, okay? They have a contract. They know what they're supposed to do. They can do it. They just have to be disciplined. There is not one fight, not one wrestling match, not one anything that I ever showed up for overweight. I'm talking about hundreds of events. And I knew what I had to do. And the thing is, we always had the same day weigh-ins. Wrestling in high school, you have that afternoon at 4 o'clock before the match. You got to weigh in. You don't have that much time to replenish, recover. But you know what? Same day weigh-ins, I knew what I wanted to do. And, I had my trainer. Sometimes my father was there with a bottle of Gatorade and a banana or a baked potato. And I'd step off the scale and that Gatorade would be gone. And a baked potato or banana was consumed as a carbohydrate. And guess what? By that time, that night, if I had to weigh at the lightweight limit of 135 and I came in at 134 and 3/4 or 135 right on, normally by 4 or 5 o'clock that afternoon, I was still at 135. I just replenished myself even after drying out and losing that weight. And I always like to go into the ring hungry. And as long as my electrolytes and my minerals were all replenished, I didn't want to eat like a cafone and be sluggish and slow. So, you know what? Same day weigh-ins, that's what it should be. You know what? These guys are mature. They're adults. They're paid professionals. They should be accountable for their weight. They don't need a little 30-day weigh-in and check out. Forget about it. It's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it's giving him to me. It's giving him more ways to cheat. I don't know. But,
I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
One last email. This is from my man Mitch. He says, I think Felix Diaz is coming to party on Saturday. He says, wouldn't it be odd if the after effects of Joshua Klitschko's success and the $100 million and the 1 million buys of Canelo Chavez leads to advertisers taking a second look at boxing, meaning the PBC could get a few more sponsors based on non-PBC boxing events. Parts of me hope so, but a bigger part of me hopes not. Time to break up the monopoly and the monotony. From my man Mitch. A couple other people reached out to me and feels that Diaz is going to give Terrence Crawford a bigger fight than I think on Saturday. As far as the advertisers and stuff, you know what? Boxing, the more we see it on TV and stuff, the more the advertisers will get in, as long as the numbers are good. As far as the PBC, their original model was had nothing to do with advertising revenue. Their original model, which we've came to learn what it was they had hoped that they would build up a big enough following by flooding the free television market with boxing, that the same networks that they were buying time from would turn around and pay them for the production of the sports, for the boxing. And that didn't work out. So as a result, we as the fans benefited from the numbers, meaning the amount of boxing on TV, thanks to the PBC. And today, thanks to the PBC, we're benefiting from good fights on TV. And the reason is because the PBC, they're not on as much as they used to be, but because Al Heyman has so many fighters under contract, and a lot of them are kind of ticked off that they're not fighting, they're forced to fight the real fights that we wanted, and a lot of them are fighting the fights not here in the States, which is resulting in us getting some really good fights. Now, he is still protecting some of them, but for the most part, I think we've benefited from it. So I think that the numbers are only helping across the board. As far as advertisers, a lot of products, they don't want to be associated with combat sports, whether it be MMA or boxing. What do you think, real quick, Sal?
Yeah, I think you're right, and it makes a lot of sense, and I think it should be a pathway, and I agree with you.
I love the fact that we're even talking about potential additional advertisers and stuff. But,
yes.
Over the last several years, I kind of see the same advertisers that have supported boxing. I don't know. Have you seen, just to get off the subject, speaking of advertising, have you seen some of the commercials for Tecate beer with Canelo and Sylvester Stallone? Have you caught any of those?
I have not been able to watch. Billy, you've been so busy, I haven't even been able to watch the TV, let alone commercials. But I want to see it. What's going on? Tell me.
Hey, first of all, half the commercials are better than the shows on TV today. I mean, during the Super Bowl, I look forward to the commercials just to see what they got. I mean, they haven't been as good as they were in years gone by, but I've seen a couple. One was they're kind of weird. Like one was Canelo was saying whatever he basically Sylvester was trying to who's more manly, and they were going back and forth, and it ended with Canelo in a big tub of ice, and all of a sudden all these cans of beer pop up, and Sylvester says, that's bold, and then he goes, let me get in there with you, and I'm like, what is that?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, and then the last one was something about Canelo had a black eye or something, and Sylvester's like, be bold, and he's like, he hands him a steak, right? To put on the eye,
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, Canelo takes the steak and he throws it on a grill, and then he puts a Tecate beer on his eye to take this around that, and then Sylvester's like, oh, I like your style, and it's what is it? Yeah, it's just they're kind of funny, but the funny thing is that product association, Sal, works. It works. And Canelo, I don't know where Sylvester fits into Tecate beer, but Canelo is doing pretty well. Becoming a face of Tecate. What do you think?
Well, I think not only is he becoming the face of Ducati, but I think that the media likes him, and I mean, he's a good-looking guy. He's a talented fighter, and I mean, they're trying to market him, and I'll tell you what, he's going to be fighting for how many more years, and you're going to see a segue into some type of film industry or TV or something like that. I mean, that's what they're grooming him for. He wants to be the face to recognize and associated with certain products and everything else here. So I think it's good. He's on a good pathway.
No,
And
I
as he
think
should.
Canelo's on the right, and I totally
That's what
get.
I'm saying. No.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
But
go ahead.
my point is, I totally get
Yeah.
why Canelo's in the commercial.
Yeah.
I don't get why Rogan, I don't know why Sylvester's in the commercial. I mean, he's like, give me a break. It's over for him. I mean, nobody cares
Well,
about Sylvester Stallone.
It's the passing of the torch.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is Sylvester Stallone, I've always, all right. We got to take a break here. Actually, we're kicking you to the curb here in a minute. We got the author of a great book, Max Baer and Barney Ross, Jewish Heroes of Boxing, coming up to talk about the book here in a minute. But when you look at great actors and movies and stuff like that, one of my favorites was Clint Eastwood. I mean, I loved his westerns more than some of the others. But when you look at Clint Eastwood today, he's an old guy, he's getting old, and he's still active and all these things, but he's aged gracefully. He's a guy that he's getting older. I mean, it's part of life. I mean, you and I are getting older, and we're aging gracefully. I know you don't want it. Maybe let me rephrase that. You and I are getting older, and I'm aging gracefully, and you not so much. But the truth of the matter is, Sylvester Stallone is a guy that isn't aging gracefully. He's getting plastic surgery. He keeps his hair dyed. He's trying to look, like he's still in his 30s or even 40s, And I think that, and women traditionally have done that. And, with all the technology with plastic surgery, I don't think they're doing themselves justice. I mean, you look at some of these attractive women that have, tried to stay young, try to defy aging, and they look like, circus characters. I mean, I don't understand. Do they look in the mirror and think they seeing something great? I mean, I see them and I go, oh my God, that one's had work. Oh, she's had work. He's had work. I mean,
this one has lips like a trout.
I know. There's been, I mean,
like a
the late Joan Rivers.
Rivers,
she was the best. She said. She made fun of all the plastic surgery she had. She said, "Oh yeah, I've had so much plastic surgery." She says, "I'm smiling right now, even though you can't see." Which is funny, but it's true. And Phyllis Diller used to say, "Oh yeah, I'm ugly," and that's after plastic surgery. You should have seen me before. But I don't know, man. I mean, take age like you can, right?
Well, that's what you got to do. I mean, we all want to hang on to our youth as long as possible, and some people find different methods or techniques more popular. Hey, when you're ready, I got a answer to solve this whole weight situation. I got a lot of things to tell you. You got to bring them up to me when I'm making notes, so we can talk about some things later.
Well, it sounds good because that's a great segue. We're kicking you to the curb.
I knew it.
And,
I knew it was coming.
We're going to be back with the author of a new book, Max Baer and Barney Ross, Jewish Heroes of Boxing, in about 2, and then we'll get back to you soon, Sal. So we'll be back soon.
Thank you, Bill.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a $1 million bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call at 800-567-0214 because we're going to let 1 million people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. Call 800-567-0214. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait. Call 800-567-0214. That's 800-567-0214.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today, and as usual, we're glad to be with you. So, hey, don't forget, there's a new book out, and I need you to pick up a copy of it, and it's right here. It's Max Baer and Barney Ross, Jewish Heroes of Boxing, and joining us right now is the author of this book, Jeffrey Susman, and I'd like to welcome him to the show. What's up, Jeff?
Hi, nice to have you. Glad to be here and glad to be speaking with you.
Hey, Jeff, Barney Ross was one of my favorite fighters. When I saw that this book came out, that was one of the things that interested me right away. First of all, what made you write the book? Why don't you give us a little history about why you chose to write this book and why you picked Barney Ross and Max Baer?
Well, when I was 12 years old, I was a skinny little kid, and my father was worried that bigger kids would pick on me. And my father was almost like an amateur boxer, and one day he brought home a pair of boxing gloves, a speed bag, a heavy bag, and a jump rope, and he set it up in our basement, and he taught me the elements of boxing. And after that, he knew Lou Stillman, who owned Stillman's Gym in the city. And he signed me up for 10 boxing lessons with a middleweight there. And I learned to box. And when my father was growing up, one of his close friends was a man named Abe Simon, who fought Joe Louis twice for the heavyweight title. He lost both times. I think it was 1940 and 1941. But my father grew up in a very anti-Semitic neighborhood, as did Abe Simon. And it was Abe Simon's boxing ability that would put an end to a lot of anti-Semitic attacks. So I became interested in Jewish boxers as well as boxing. In the late 1980s, I had as a PR marketing client a boxing promoter, and one of his clients was the welterweight boxer Howard Davis, and I got to promote him as well. And all of these circumstances combined to let me want to write a book about boxing, and I chose, because of my father's experiences, 2 boxers who were symbols against the anti-Semitism that was so prevalent in the 1930s.
You know, when you mention the promoter for Howard Davis, I promoted some of his fighters too. He's from Long Island, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, great guy. But anyway, the impact that Jewish fighters had during the era of Max Baer and Barney Ross was a big one. There was a lot of Jewish fighters. It was popular. What kind of impact do you feel that the lack of Jewish fighters today has on the community? Do you think the interest in fighting for the Jewish community just left in terms of boxing, or do you think it was more important for them to fight? I mean, I don't understand why there had been such a drop-off with the amount of Jewish fighters, in the pool of fighters to begin with. Can you explain that?
Well, from 1910 to 1941, there were 628 Jewish boxers, and about 24 of them became champions in various weight classes. But just about all of them, with the possible exception of Max Baer, they were the children of poor immigrants, and it was a way to earn a living and earn some money, a lot of money, very quickly. Certainly a lot more money than their parents were earning. You know, if your father worked in a garment center and he was making $5 a week, and you could make $50 a night fighting, obviously fighting was a lot more remunerative than working in a garment center. But a lot of these boxers were also concerned that they might suffer head injuries or things like that. And most of them got out of boxing after 5 or 7 years of working at it. And though a lot of their children were interested in boxing and wanted to become boxers, the parents really dissuaded them. Max Baer Jr. told me a very cute story about his desire to want to be a boxer. When he was in college, he asked his father to teach him the elements of boxing. And he and his father went into the backyard of their home, and they put on these big, puffy boxing gloves so they wouldn't hurt each other. And the father said to him, "Look, I don't want you to become a boxer, but I'll teach you what the elements of boxing are. And we're not going to hurt each other. We're not going to punch each other in the face or anything. But I'll just teach you how to feint, how to jab, how to block." And Max Baer Jr. said, "Fine." But as this was going on, Max Baer Jr. got a little carried away and threw a punch at his father right in the face and as hard as he could. The next thing Max Baer Jr. knew, he's lying on the ground looking up at the sky. His father had knocked him unconscious, and it was just an automatic reaction. Max Baer Jr.'s mother was hanging out of a second-story bedroom window, and she said, "What have you done? What have you done? You've killed my son." But Max Baer Jr. said that ended his boxing career. His father just did not want him to become a boxer. I think it would be very good if there were more Jewish boxers today. I did a talk at a place called the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center in Glen Cove on Long Island. And a Jewish boxer showed up in support of me, a guy named Cletus Selden, who is a lightweight, and he's a terrific boxer. I mean, he's young in his career. He's only had 17 fights, but he's had 17 wins, 16 by knockouts. And he was a big hit with the audience. They absolutely loved him. But on the other hand, I was invited to give a talk at another Jewish organization, and they decided not to have me because the women in the organization said, "Well, there's no such thing as a Jewish boxer. Why should we have them talk about Jewish boxing?" So it's a shame in many ways that Jewish boxing has kind of faded away. Though I get a lot of messages from the children and grandchildren of Jewish boxers who say how much they enjoyed reading my book, and it brings back memories and stories that they heard from their parents and grandparents. And they too are upset that there aren't any more Jewish boxers around.
Yeah, I just never could understand why they stopped. I mean, even going back to the bare knuckle times, we got a live chat room right now. One of the guys that's in there a lot from Strictly Business Boxing, and my man Coach, he reminded me Daniel Mendoza, which was a famous bare knuckler. Was I think he's the first Jewish world champion. You know, so there was so many, and all of a sudden it stopped. Yeah. Selden, he's the Hebrew Hammer, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but there's so few of them today. It's a shame, and it's the same, really. I'm of Italian descent, and there was so many Italian fighters. They used to be, and I think that some of it today is because we've become so politically correct. Back in the day, in the 40s and the 50s, actually before that, between the 30s and the 50s, they used to have these rivalries, and you would have Italians against the Jewish night, or Irish against the Italians, and promoters would be able to sell, and you'd bring people in, and you'd have the Italian fighters fighting the Jewish fighters, and so on and so forth, and it would be a success. Today, could you imagine, Jeff, if a promoter tried to do that today, they would be criticized, and it's a shame because I think the sport is hurting from it. What do you think?
I agree. It's become so politically correct that you can't promote an ethnic rivalry. If you did have a Jewish fighter against an Italian fighter or an Irish fighter or a Hispanic fighter, you'd have to play up the ethnic rivalry in such a subtle way that people wouldn't even notice it, because if you did it directly, the media would come down on you as being racist and other things. So that's kind of unfortunate. But certainly, the great ethnic rivalries of the 1930s, what drew an enormous number of people to boxing. When Barney Ross fought Jimmy McLarnin, it was a Jew against an Irishman, and they brought out their respective audiences. Yeah, it had a tremendous number of Irish American fans and a tremendous number of Jewish American fans who would attend those bouts, and they loved it.
Yeah, well, you know what? A lot of the fans are missing that today because everybody's so afraid to basically, I mean, and just by saying, it's the Jews against the Italians isn't knocking anybody. I mean, but we're so afraid today. But let's talk a little about Barney Ross. I focus on him because, like I said to you in our correspondence plus earlier, he's one of my favorite fighters. And not only did I think he was a great fighter in the ring, but he overcame so many odds. And they eventually, a lot of people know him as a wartime hero. Tell us a little about Barney.
Well, Barney was a very interesting guy. He came from an Orthodox Jewish family, and his father actually at one point wanted him to become a rabbi. And Barney wasn't particularly interested. And his family was very poor. His father operated a little tiny grocery store in an area of Chicago called the Maxwell Street Ghetto, which was a Jewish ghetto in Chicago. And one day, two holdup men came in and shot and killed his father. And that was the end of Barney's interest in anything having to do with religion. And he began running with a local gang in Chicago. And his close friend in that gang was a kid named Jacob Rubenstein, who eventually took on the name Jack Ruby. And we know him today as the man who shot President Kennedy's assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald. And both of them worked for Al Capone. They were runners for Al Capone's bookie joints. And Al took an interest in them. And he said to Jacob Rubenstein, "You have the makings of a gangster." But he said to Barney, "You don't." He said, "But I've seen you in a lot of your street fights, and I think that you could become a good boxer." And after Barney's father was shot, his mother had a nervous breakdown, and his three siblings were all put in different foster care homes. And it was Barney's ambition to reunite his family, to be able to buy a home and bring his mother out of a mental institution and to reunite his siblings all in one house. And Al Capone was sympathetic to that. He said, "Well, I'll get you a trainer, and you'll begin to have fights. And when you start fighting, I'll make sure that every ticket to every fight you have is sold," because Barney would get a portion of the proceeds from those ticket sales. And that happened eventually. And he was able to buy a house and to reunite his family. And he was what they called, some people called in those days, a scientific fighter, in that he was very smart. He would understand what the strategy was of his opponents, and he would develop his own strategy for overcoming that. And he was just a fierce and very clever boxing opponent. And his three matches with Jimmy McLarnin were absolutely historic. Barney won the first one. He lost the second one, and he won the third one. But Jimmy McLarnin's manager didn't believe that Barney should have been awarded the decision in the third one, and he went to court to have it overturned. And his reason for it is he said that one of the judges was Jewish, and that Jack Dempsey, who was the referee, had a Jewish grandmother, and therefore he couldn't be trusted. And the judge threw the case out of court, and Barney retained the win. Eventually, he lost his title to a fabulous welterweight named Henry Armstrong, who was probably the inspiration for Sugar Ray Robinson. And after that fight, Barney retired, and he opened what we call today a sports bar in Chicago. That became a hangout for athletes and politicians and some mob guys. And when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in 1941, Barney wanted to enlist in the Marines. And I think he was about 32 years old at the time, and they told him he was too old to join the Marines. But through his various connections in Chicago, he was able to get that overturned, and they finally accepted him into the Marines. And during basic training, they would refer to him as Grandpa. And at one point, he had an officer who said something anti-Semitic to him, and Barney flattened the guy. And after that, he had a choice of he was staying stateside or being sent overseas. And he demanded to be sent overseas. He wanted to fight the Japanese. He felt that America had been very good to him and had helped him and his family ultimately. And he wanted to fight the enemy that he thought was trying to destroy America. And so he went to Guadalcanal, and one night he was out on a patrol with 3 other Marines, and they were ambushed by a Japanese platoon. 2 of the Marines were immediately killed, and the 3rd one was wounded, and Barney threw him into a ditch and jumped in on top of him. All through the night, the Japanese were firing on them, and Barney took his rifle and the 3 rifles of his fallen comrades and fired back at the Japanese all through the night. When he ran out of ammunition, he started throwing hand grenades. There were 24 hand grenades between the 3 soldiers, and Barney threw all of them. It turned out in the morning that he had completely wiped out this Japanese platoon. But he was also badly wounded, and he didn't initially know that because he was so involved in the fighting that was going on. But when he was taken back to base, they discovered that he had a bad wound in his thigh and a bad wound in his foot. And he was sent to a hospital where he had several surgeries. But to deal with the pain of those surgeries, they gave him quite a bit of morphine. And as a result of that, he became a morphine addict. And though that didn't stop him from getting the Silver Star, which was awarded to him in the Rose Garden of the White House by President Roosevelt. Eventually, due to his drug addiction, Barney hit bottom, and he couldn't deal with it anymore, and he put himself into a federal drug rehabilitation center in Lexington, Kentucky. And they told him it would take a year for him to become completely clean. But he was so determined, he did it in 6 months. And he spent the rest of his life lecturing to high school and college students about the dangers of drugs. Now, the actor John Garfield had contracted with Barney to make a movie about his life. But when he discovered that Barney was or had been a drug addict, he decided that he would fictionalize the story. And so he made a great boxing movie, which is based on the life of Barney Ross. It's called Body and Soul. And because they didn't give Barney the credit that he was supposed to get and didn't give him any of the financial benefits that he should have received, he wound up suing the production company, and they settled out of court for something like $65,000, which was a lot of money in 1947. And then in 1951, another movie was made about him, but that dealt honestly with his drug addiction. It was called Monkey on My Back, and it starred an actor named Cameron Mitchell. That movie isn't as well known, however, as Body and Soul, which I just saw recently, and I think it's a great movie.
You know, the story, the World War II story with Barney Ross always reminded me, his actions reminded me of Audie Murphy and some of the things that he did.
Right.
And another thing that and maybe I'm wrong thinking this, but I remember learning about Barney Ross, and at the time, you know, a lot of these war guys that were given morphine to deal with the pain, when they came back to the States to get them unhooked on morphine, they were giving them heroin. They didn't know what the perils with heroin were. And wasn't that what Barney Ross eventually was addicted to, or was he always addicted to morphine?
It was heroin. He became a heroin addict.
Right.
And he went through all of his money. It was just, what happened to him after the war was just a terrible tragedy.
Yeah.
But he came back from it, which was amazing because it showed his inner strength, the same kind of inner strength that made him such a formidable boxing opponent.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's why he's one of my favorites. We're running out of time, Jeff. I just wanted to ask you one more time about today's fighters. I mean, obviously, we can't compare them to the eras of Max Baer and of course Barney Ross. But you know, do you think that there's anything based on the way society has changed that has derailed the interest in, you know, Jewish fighters to turn pro or even get into the ring? I mean, do you think it has anything to do with that? Or, I mean, you know, every other group seems to have stayed with it to a degree, except for the Jewish community. I just can't put my finger on it. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I just think that they found better ways of making a good living, and not that I'm one of them, but certainly a lot of the Jewish children of boxers were encouraged to become doctors and lawyers and dentists and accountants and film producers or whatever. It was just an easier thing to do, but it was amazing to me, the enthusiasm that existed for Jewish boxers during the heyday of Jewish boxing. And when I think of my own boyhood and the stories that my father told me about Jewish boxers and the Jewish boxers that I met who were training at Stillman's gym, it's a world that's long gone, and I'm sorry that it is gone. I wish it would come back.
I think you put it in great perspective when you said that a lot of women said there's no such thing in the group that you were speaking or were going to speak in front of, said, oh, there's no such thing as Jewish boxers. And that's such a comical statement for me because there were so many of them, during this era. And it's a shame. But I certainly can see why. I mean, it's the same evolution of sorts with every group that comes and chooses to try and find a better way out. I know what Italians did it, Germans did it, Irish did it. It's just it's a shame that we don't have it today. I guess it's a bittersweet because on the good side, there's better opportunities for everyone today than there was yesteryear. But the bad side is we've lost that rivalry, and I think that rivalries is what made boxing so great during these eras, and it's something that the young fans of today just don't understand. They don't see it, and promoters are afraid to say it, so it could never return, right?
I agree with you, and there's also a thing with the media. I mean, the media doesn't. The sports people on television, sports reporters, and big newspapers like the New York Times don't even cover boxing anymore. When I was researching my book, I went back and I looked at old copies of the New York Times, and there would be front page banner headlines about the new heavyweight boxing champion. The only stories that the Times does about boxing is if it's a big money fight, like the Mayweather fight. They covered that only from the point of view of a business story, but not from a sports story. They won't even touch it as a sports story.
No, they used to have every newspaper in the country used to have a boxing reporter, a guy that was focused on boxing. The last one that was the last full-time boxing reporter, which he's not even doing it full-time anymore for the Daily News, I believe was Tim Smith. I think he was the last one. So it just goes to show you how quickly that's changed. Where can everyone get a copy of your book, Jeff?
They can get a copy of Max Baer and Barney Ross, Jewish Heroes of Boxing, at Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com.
Well, it's a great read, and Jeff, I appreciate you taking the time and stopping by with us today, and I hope that we can get you back on in the future to talk some historical aspects of the Jewish fighters of yesteryear. I think our viewers and listeners should learn about that.
Well, my next book, which I've just about finished writing, is a biography of Rocky Graziano. So
there you go. Hey, we'll bring a paisan on for you.
Yeah, we can get into Italian boxing.
Yeah, hey, that's right up my alley, my man. So
I'm sure
that'll be good. But listen, I appreciate the time, and we'll look forward to you next time. All right.
Thank you very much, Billy.
All right, take care. Get a copy of Max Baer and Barney Ross, Jewish Heroes of Boxing. You heard right from the author, Jeffrey Susman, said you can get a copy, Barnes & Noble or Amazon. Pick it up. It's a great read. If you haven't heard of Barney Ross or Max Baer, you're missing out. And I know I didn't give Max Baer enough coverage here during the interview, but that's because I love Barney Ross. I can't deny that. I mean, he was one of my favorite fighters. I mean, every time people start talking to me, and I always say that I thought that Barney Ross was one of the greatest lightweights of all time. And you guys, at the end of the year, when we talk about all-time greats, and some fighters go up or down on our lists, Barney Ross is always there for me, So, and the story, I was just when Jeffrey was telling us the story about what got Barney Ross into boxing, I was just recently talking to someone, and they didn't know about him seeing his father take the bullets in his chest in the grocery store, in their family-owned grocery store, which was a big impact on a young Barney Ross, and it was an impact on me. It was one of the first books that I read, not this book because it just came out, but another one on Barney Ross, and it really got me into that era, and it opened up the floodgates, and I think it would do the same for you. So get a copy of Jeffrey Susman's book as soon as you can. Listen, we're going to be talking about some other news that's in the sport right now, and specifically, how we've been talking about good fights, and it doesn't necessarily mean a fight against a champion or along those lines. Well, there is some fights that are coming up that I really want to talk about, but we're going to take a short little break here, and when I get back, I'll have Sal with me, and we will talk about a couple of fights that I want you guys to know that I think is a good fight. It's not a glamour fight. It's not going to be a fight against two guys with undefeated records, but it's going to be a very competitive fight. And I also want to talk about some of the other things that we were talking about yesterday with Star Boxing and their blueprint. And, they're at it again, basically. So bear with me. I will take a short break, and when I come back, I'll have Sal Rocky Senecola, and we'll have a discussion about some news. So don't go nowhere. So we'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And speaking of being with us, Sal's back.
He is.
He is? What are you starting to talk to you? Talk about yourself? Who are you, Roy Jones Jr.? You're talking to yourself in the third person? Come on, man. Come on.
There's only one person here.
Hey, listen. Yesterday we were talking about, and I was being critical of Star Boxing and my man Joe DeGuardia. And how they kind of coddle their fighters, and then they toss them into a big fight, and everybody's like, oh, they were exposed. Well, here's a great example. And the main event actually is going to feature a fighter that our last guest, Jeffrey Susman, just mentioned in Cletus Selden. He's an undefeated fighter at 19-0 with 16 knockouts. And, he's yet to be tested, all right? And we know, Sal, that he's going to be, being positioned for a title shot or what have you. And who does Starr put him in against? Mike Aranudis, Mighty Mike Aranudis, who was a pretty decent club fighter at one point. He was in a great fight with Delvin Rodriguez, I'm sorry. And but he since has been out for a while, and basically he didn't have a lot of skills to begin with, but they've eroded. And he's in here for a payday. And, Selden is not getting the opportunity to really, get better. What's your thoughts on, constantly coddling a fighter? I mean, he's 19-0 now. Shouldn't he be stepping it up, Sal?
You know what? Absolutely. I mean, this is the time. This is the make or break. You got to deliver, and you got to. Yeah, I'm telling you exactly what you just said. You have to do this, and you have to. This is what you're being brought along for. And you have to leverage yourself in a very challenging fight. And you have to get in a ring with a top contender that can mirror your record and may the best man win. And if you have to go through a period and you lose and you have to learn and come back, well, guess what? You only have your first defeat. Now learn what happened and come back. But if you continue to do a downward trend, then, guess what? You were meant to fight right now, and it's time to hang them up. But no, you gotta step up. You gotta step up to the plate.
No, listen. There's no doubt about that. I mean, no doubt about that. I mean, well, you get the point.
It's dyslexia.
Yeah,
dyslexia. See, that's
exactly. Here's a good fight. It's scheduled for June 17th.
Yeah,
and it's not a glamour fight. So this is the fight that I'm scared that the young fan of today, Sal, won't be interested in a fight like what I'm going to say. And the reason they won't be interested is because it's not a glamour-looking fight on paper. But let me tell you something. This is going to be a great fight. The fight is a junior welterweight, Pablo Cesar Cano, who's got in my opinion, a great record, but because he's got 5 losses, it doesn't look so glamorous. He's got 30 wins, 5 losses, and a draw, 21 coming by knockout. And he's going to be taking on Fidel Maldonado Jr., who's got a record of 23 wins, 3 losses, and a draw with 19 knockouts. They are going to be fighting in the junior welterweight division in Texas on June 17th. And it will be on the Golden Boys version of their ESPN fights. So we'll get to see it. But let me tell you something, Sal. This is the kind of fights that used to make this sport so interesting because you have guys that have a couple of losses on their record,
right.
And you got to assume that they've learned from these losses. And Pablo Cesar Cano has fought some tough guys. And you could argue that he was robbed in a couple of those fights. So I love this fight, and I hope the viewers and listeners enjoy it. And the best part is it's going to be on ESPN. What do you think, Sal?
I think it's great. I mean, come on, bring it on. That's fantastic. And like I said, just because a fighter no longer has an O or a 0 in his record, man, I'll tell you, some of these fighters can evolve. They're great because they learn from any mistakes or any loss. That's what you call experience. And there is no substitute. I think it's great.
Yeah, well, Dax just straightened me out here.
Boy.
I appreciate these guys because my mind is starting to go. Here I am giving all the credit for Mighty Mike Aranudis fighting Delvin Rodriguez, and Dax is in the chat room basically telling me, "Hey, Billy C, you're an idiot. That wasn't Mighty Mike Aranudis. That was not Delvin Rodriguez. That was Wolak." And he's right. I totally forgot that was Warlock that fought that. Mighty Mike Arenutis, he was an exciting fighter too, but he wasn't the guy that had those two great fights with Delvin Rodriguez. So I appreciate Dax straightening me out, even though now Dax is fired and we're never going to see him again. But here's another fight that's going to be really good. And it's a triple header that was announced yesterday on HBO in July. And here it's going to be. It's going to open up. And speaking of Dax let this cat out of the bag a couple of days ago. So it's old news from my man. But Joe Smith Jr., the guy who upset Andres Fonfara, he will be taking on Sullivan Barrera. Now, both of these guys are only once beaten. Joe Smith Jr., 23-1 with 19 knockouts, and Sullivan Barrera, 19-1 with 14 knockouts. Both of these guys will be fighting with the winner. I believe will be facing Sergey Kovalev, regardless of the outcome against Andre Ward. Now, this co-main event is Jezreel Corrales, who's undefeated, and he's kind of busted onto the scene. He was a big-time underdog when he won his title, and he subsequently has defended it at least once, maybe even twice. And he's taken on Robinson Castellanos. It was a fight that we actually commented on earlier, Sal, via an email. And as you recall, Castellanos just recently beat one of my favorite fighters, who I hope hangs him up, Yuriorkis Gamboa. And the main event will be Miguel Berchelt taking on Takayashi Miura for Berchelt's junior lightweight title. So three nice ones coming at us from the Fabulous Forum in Los Angeles, California on HBO. Wow. I like this triple header. What do you think?
I love it. Bring it on, HBO. I think that's great. That is great.
Well,
I'm telling you, Bill, this is the year. Boxing is resetting at a pace, and I think we're being treated to some good fights and good things to look forward to, man.
Well, I tell you what, HBO better step it up a notch, because they are definitely falling behind Showtime, and it pains me to say it, because I would much rather deal with Roy Jones talking about himself in the third person all night long. I know. Jim Lampley just saying the same thing over and over, and whoever else they got on there. If Max is his wings are still clipped, I would much rather listen to those three guys than Mario Ronaldo ruining two good. Ruining the commentating from two good, actually one good and one great commentator. One great commentator, of course, in Al Bernstein, and one good commentator in Paulie Malignaggi. So anytime I'm forced to watch Showtime when Ronaldo is on, I never listen. I can't listen to that. He's awful, Sal. He's worse than me. Okay, I mean, if you don't like listening to me, imagine what it is like listening to him, right? I mean, give me a break. He's terrible. I don't know, Sal. So, hey, what you think of the book review? You gonna get a copy or what? Max Baer and Barney Ross.
Let me tell you something. I loved it with Jeffrey Susman. I think it sounds like a great book, and I followed the whole interview, and I think it's so true. He hit it head on. I mean, when you look at the old immigrants that came over here, the Jewish from Israel or Europe, and you had the Italians, you had the Germans, you had the Poles, you had Polish people, you had you had so many people, French, this, that, and everything else. They came over and they tried to fight because that was what they saw available to them as a living, as a craft, as a way to support their families. And some of these guys rose to the occasion and became champions and became the world beaters and legends that we talk about today. But they wanted better for their children. And so that's why the generations of those immigrants maybe have dissipated as far as their ethnicity still being involved in boxing today to a degree, in contrast to what they were in volumes in the earlier decades when the immigrants were coming over. So that was a great depiction and reasoning behind it. And as far as Barney Ross, let me tell you, I remember hearing stories of my family talking about him, and I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies as a kid, and one of my favorite movies as an adult. The movie with John Garfield, Body and Soul. Old black and white boxing movie. You've never seen it, you've got to go see that movie. And now, knowing that it was a depiction of loosely based on Barney Ross, is even much more reason for me. I'm going to watch it again because it does show a scene in there where the fighter, his father has a store, and I guess there's an explosion and he dies. Someone kills him, and the whole thing. But I love the last line of the movie. If I could share it, have you seen that movie, Bill?
No, it's one. It's I love the old boxing
Bill,
movies, and
you gotta see this
I know,
movie.
I know.
I mean, and now that I know it was based on Barney Ross, but also glamorized by Hollywood and some fiction, it makes all that sense because it also delves into the realities of maybe some influence from some early mobsters and paying to take a dive and all this stuff. And that's I don't want to tell you the ending, but I love the I love the last scene when the fighter, who's portrayed by John Garfield, comes out of the dressing room and he's got some guys in black suits waiting for him, saying, "All right, you did that. You did you did wrong," and he goes, "So what are you gonna do? Kill me? Everybody dies."
Yeah, it's true what you said, and of course what Mr. Susman said earlier. It's not just the Jewish fighters. We were talking about the Jewish fighters because the background of the book was based on that. But every single group that tried to use boxing as a way to get out, whether it be the Italians, the Jews, the Irish, whatever, has seemed to, evolve into taking a different route to better themselves. And, when the immigrants came over, they all started at the bottom. We don't have that today because when people come over, you're not starting at the bottom in some cases. You're not allowed to, And I think that maybe that explains why boxing is the way it is today, Sal. Boxing today, what makes a young man or woman decide that they want to get into boxing? Maybe the passion of the sport is in them more than it was yesteryear. But the desperation of using the sport as a tool or a vehicle to get out of a situation, I think, well, at least it seemed to prove it to me, was stronger of a driving force than the passion. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're right on. You're hitting on something because the demographics were different back then. And as you said, these were guys that literally came over to boat, including my family. And they couldn't get jobs, but they wanted to support their families. And if they couldn't get work, they'd see a sign said, earn $5 or $50, fight tonight or fight next week or whatever. Come by and that's what they would start to do.
Yep.
And literally they said, hey, let's try this. And they won. And they said, oh, I'll do it next time. And they win again. Then they got spotted by a manager and said, hey, we can leverage you. We can move you. That's how it evolved. That was the old thing. But this was a honed-in craft that guys looked forward to do. They had to do because they supported their families with this.
Hey, Sal, hey, we can make $5 just for fighting. Geez, I got to fight my brother just to get a piece of steak off the table, and I don't get paid for that. Hey, I might as well get $5 and have my own steak, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and that was my father telling me stories when he used to have to fight kids on the street corners of Hackensack shoes, which was the most popular corner. Hey, it's my day. Get out of here, kid.
Hey, let me tell you something. The one thing Alex and I have learned over the years by doing the blast from the past, you didn't want to mess with shoe shiners or newspaper kids because most of them most of the greatest boxers in history all were shoe shine boys or newspaper guys, and they fought for their corners, man. Hey, they see a kid move in to try and sell a nickel newspaper, man, you were in some trouble, But anyway, hey, I got today's trivia question, all right?
Okay.
All right, so here you
About
go.
my
It's a
answer?
new one. I'm not giving anybody. I'm so sick. I'm not going to mention his name, but his initials are Kevin in the chat room. I'm not gonna say. But he's busting our chops. For trivia questions, and all of a sudden, there's crickets. I'm getting nothing from him. So here's another one. Now, if you're the first one to email me the correct answer to Billy at Talkin Boxing, TalkinBoxing.com. You're going to win a prize. What do we got? Oh, we still got the copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game on the line. It's the same game that Alex uses to do the simulations on our Blast from the Past. So it's a great prize, all right? So here's the question. What is the biggest height difference between two men in the same division for a world title fight? Now, this excludes heavyweight, so any division but heavyweight. What was the biggest height difference between two men in the same division for a world title fight? If you're the first one to answer this correctly by emailing me, Billy at Talkin Boxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. And I want to thank your friend and mine, Henry Haskup, for coming up with this question to stump our listeners. So if you're the first one to email me, Billy at Talkin Boxing, TalkinBoxing.com, the answer to this question, you'll win the copy of Title Bout. The question is, what is the biggest height difference between two men in the same division for a world title fight, excluding the heavyweight division? Hey, Sal, you want to take a shot at guessing this one right so we move on to another one, or what?
I'm not going to answer Jack Dempsey, but the bottom line is, I'd have to say, and excluding the heavyweight division, my first thoughts were going to two-ton Tony Galento versus Joe Louis. That had to be a big difference. But
that is heavyweight division.
That's what I'm saying, excluding. So that's where I was going to go. But I just said it. I'm not really going there. But I would have to say probably at least a foot, maybe 12 to 14 inches.
I'm looking for the names. I'm not looking for the. All right, let's take that as a no. Let's take that. I think you need more coffee. We're gonna take that as a no from Sal, that he did not get the answer correctly. I'm not looking for the height, the actual. It's about a foot, 4. No. What I'm looking for is the two guys. All right, what the difference is between the two fighters. I'm glad Sal said that, because I think he was just playing with you guys. Honestly, I think that Sal just wanted to make sure that you guys didn't embarrass yourselves by giving me a number. All right, I'm looking for the fighters themselves. Okay, so the question is, what is the biggest height difference between two men in the same division for a world title fight, excluding heavyweights? If you're the first one to get that answer correct by emailing me, Billy at Talkin Boxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win the prize. Hey, listen, that concludes our show for today, but I want you to make sure that you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. You want to know something funny? I was telling this to Sal as we were leaving, as we got over. As Joel said to me a few times, and some people noticed, that in my studio here, a lot of times during my show, I have my buddy, my dog, is sleeping in the studio. What we have here is I have a half a studio and the other half is my office. Okay, so what you see is the set, right? And the dog is always in here. Now, when I say, hey, we're gonna leave it, tune in, same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow, I'll leave you with this. The dog gets up. He knows that the show is almost over and it's time for him. It's amazing, and he just did it again. I figured I'd share that with you guys, but I'll leave you with this. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.